Is Howie Roseman about to pull off the heist of the century? Or are the Philadelphia Eagles staring down the barrel of a complete offensive collapse in 2026? While the national media is obsessed with the box scores, the real story, the one that determines if Jalen Hurts holds another trophy or spends the season running for his life, is hiding in the trenches and deep inside a medical clinic in South America. If you think the Myles Garrett rumors are dead just because of a PR statement, or if you believe the offensive line issues from last year are just going to fix themselves, you are in for a massive wake-up call. We are diving into the gritty reality of the Birds' future, the truth behind the trade block, and the draft targets that prove the front office is already panicking about the end of an era. Before we dive in, smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest NFL updates on the planet. Do you actually trust this coaching staff to fix a scheme that looked broken beyond repair last season? Let's get into it. Look, we have to be honest with ourselves as fans. The 2025 season wasn't just a down year. It was a systematic failure. After reaching the mountaintop in 2024 and winning the Super Bowl, the fall from grace was violent. And while everyone wants to point fingers at the quarterback or the head coach, the rot started with the promotion of Kevin Patchelot. Patchelot was supposed to be the next man up, a guy within the Nick Sirianni circle who understood the DNA of this team. Instead, he looked like a deer in headlights. The offense lost its soul. There was no rhythm, no feel for the game, and the play calling was quite frankly embarrassing. It felt like watching a high-speed car chase where the driver forgot how to shift gears. We saw star players visibly frustrated on the sidelines, and for the first time in years, the brotherly shove felt like a chore rather than a weapon. But wait until you hear the real reason why Saquon Barkley's production plummeted after such a hot start. Everyone blamed Saquon, but let's set the record straight. The legendary Philadelphia offensive line, the gold standard of the NFL, fell off a cliff. In 2024, they were the undisputed kings of the league. In 2025, they were a liability. It wasn't just about talent. It was about a total loss of physicality. Jordan Mailata, a man who usually looks like he could move a mountain, openly admitted he didn't play anywhere near his all-pro level. When your $22 million a year left tackle is struggling, your entire $200 million quarterback's blindside is a danger zone. Then you have Landon Dickerson. The guy is a warrior, but between the knee and the back, he was a shell of himself. There were moments last year where it looked like he was contemplating the end of his career right there on the grass. And then there's Cam Jurgens. He made the Pro Bowl, but if you watched the tape, you knew something was deeply wrong. He was getting bullied. He was getting pushed back into Jalen's lap. It turns out, the reality of his injury situation was way more gruesome than anyone let on. Comment challenge. Who is more to blame for the 2025 offensive collapse? The coaching scheme or the player's performance? Drop a name and your reason below. So, how do you fix a group of elite athletes whose bodies are literally breaking apart? You go to the extremes. Both Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens took a trip to Colombia this offseason for intense stem cell treatments. This is the high-stakes part of the 2026 preparation. If those treatments don't work, the interior of this line is cooked. Jurgens finally opened up about the nightmare he lived through during the championship run and the following season. Imagine trying to block 320-pound defensive tackles with a herniated disc that literally broke off and wrapped itself around your sciatic nerve. He couldn't walk, yet he was expected to anchor a Super Bowl-winning line. That's the kind of insane toughness we're talking about, but it's also a recipe for short. If these guys aren't 100% by training,
really dictates the
Jalen
defense.
Hurts is going to be the most pressure quarterback in football again. And speaking of pressure, the defense is a whole different story, one that actually has some masterclass moves written all over it. But wait until you hear why the front office is secretly still calling about the biggest defensive star in the AFC. While the offense was a dumpster fire, the defense actually found its identity. Vic Fangio did exactly what he was brought in to do. He filled out the roster, made the necessary adjustments, and then Howie Roseman pulled a rabbit out of his hat by trading for Jalen Phillips. Suddenly, with Nakobe Dean back and healthy, the Eagles transformed into a top 3 defensive unit, trailing only Seattle and Houston. It's the only reason the season didn't end in a 4-13 catastrophe. But Howie isn't satisfied with top three. He wants total dominance. And that leads us to the name that won't go away. Yesterday, the NFL world exploded when the Cleveland Browns adjusted Myles Garrett's contract. Immediately, the betrayal talk started in Cleveland. People are asking, are the Browns actually crazy enough to trade a generational talent? NFL insiders were quick to shoot it down, claiming the Browns are adamant they won't move him. But let's use our brains for a second. What else are they going to say? Yes, please send us your best offers because we're ready to rebuild. Of course not. You keep the price high by acting like you don't want to sell. The truth is in the contract language. The changes Cleveland made make a post-June 1st trade not just possible, but actually logical for a team that needs to reset. Why would Garrett agree to push back $30 million in cash if there wasn't a long-term plan in place? If Cleveland realizes they can't win with their current core, they might look at Garrett, a 30-year-old pass rusher due for a massive payday, and realize 3 first-round picks are worth more than one elite player on a losing team. Howie Roseman is a shark. He smells blood in the water. If there is even a 1% chance that Myles Garrett is available, you can bet your life the Eagles are making that phone call. Can you imagine Garrett and Jalen Phillips on the same line? It would be illegal in 48 states. But even if that blockbuster doesn't happen, the draft is where the real chess match begins. We are about a month away from the 2026 NFL Draft, and the Eagles are sitting at pick 23. History tells us Howie Roseman doesn't wait for a hole to open up. He fills it 2 years before it exists. He did it with Cam Jurgens behind Jason Kelce. He did it with the defensive line. Now, he's looking at the tackles. Lane Johnson is a legend, but he only played 10 games last year. The cliff is coming. Enter Caden Proctor out of Alabama. This kid is a physical freak. He showed up to Alabama at nearly 400 pounds, but he's worked himself down to a lean, mean 353. He wowed everyone at his pro day with athleticism that shouldn't be possible for a human that size. Proctor is a natural left tackle, but he has the bully mentality to slide inside to guard immediately. He gives the Eagles insurance for Lane, insurance for Mailata, and an immediate upgrade over the rotating door we saw at times last season. It's the smart play, but is it the sexy play? Wait until you see the safety prospect that some scouts say is actually better than the guys at Ohio State. The Eagles' secondary has been a disaster zone in terms of depth. Right now, you're looking at a starting duo of Andrew Mukuba and Marcus Epps. That's not going to cut it in a division with explosive passing games. The name you need to circle is Emmanuel McNeel-Warren out of Toledo. I know what you're thinking. Toledo? Really? But remember, this is the same program that gave us Quinyon Mitchell. The Eagles have deep ties to the MAC, and McNeel-Warren is the real deal. He's 6 feet 3 inches, 200 pounds, and he runs a 4.52. He's a long, downhill safety who hits like a linebacker and has the ball skills of a corner. Some scouts are quietly whispering that his ceiling is higher than Caleb Downs. He is the enforcer this defense has lacked since the Malcolm Jenkins era. If the Eagles pull the trigger on McNeel-Warren at 23, it signals a shift back to a no-fly zone mentality in Philadelphia. The 2026 season is going to be the ultimate test for Jalen Hurts. He has the most pressure of any player in the league because he's playing for his legacy. But he can't do it alone. If the front office lands a tackle like Proctor, if the stem cell gamble pays off for Jurgens and Dickerson, and if Howie can somehow work his magic on a trade for a superstar pass rusher, the Eagles aren't just contenders, they're the favorites. However, if they ignore the cracks in the foundation, we're going to see a repeat of the frustrating, stagnant offense that broke our hearts last year. The talent is there, but the health and the scheme are the wild cards. Would you like me to break down the full scouting report on Caden Proctor to see if he's truly the heir to Lane Johnson's throne?